Alright guys, we are making breakfast. This is going to be a high energy breakfast for those of you that are interested in knowing how we eat at the cabin. If you notice, the first thing that I did is I put in a whole bunch of butter, probably a lot more than what we need. My cardiologist is going to hate me for this video, but we put in a ton of butter to soak into the bread. Now this meal, I'm sure a lot of you guys have eaten this before or seen it before. Goes by several different names. I think, I come from German heritage. I think we called it bird in a bush. You can make this without as much butter, but I'm going to tell you the way that gives you the most energy. Probably isn't the healthiest, but it's definitely going to taste the best. You go ahead, hollow out your piece of bread, simply crack an egg in it, put in your salt and pepper as a taste, and go ahead and let it cook. And as it cooks, you're going to notice as you look through the egg, you can see the white bottom starting to go ahead and solidify. Now I like my eggs runny, so I'm going to just let this cook for just a couple of seconds. And as I let that cook for a couple seconds, we'll get our butter ready over on the side here. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to get ready to flip this, but here's where the trick comes in. Don't just flip it, have that butter ready and melt that butter in the bottom of the pan. Now for video purposes, I have the heat cranked up really high so that this cooks quickly. Obviously if you cook it slower, it's going to taste a lot better. So we'll let that get all melted in the pan, and then wherever that's melted, you want the really thick butter. You flip it over and you want the bread to be able to soak up that butter. And that's the part that's not the healthiest part, but it's going to be the part that's going to make it taste the best. Otherwise, if your bread is just way too dry, it's like eating a bad piece of toast. I'm not a real huge toast fan, so we'll get rid of those crusty pieces of egg. But now when you're cooking it on this side, if you are a type of person who does not mind a runny yolk, you don't have to watch this too much. Maybe give it a minute or two and you're ready to eat it. My wife does not like a runny yolk, so you would simply watch this center portion, and as it starts to cook the inside of the egg, this will start to rise, and that's when you know that that it's done. You'll wait for this to rise. So alright, we're just going to give it a minute or two to cook, and it's soaked up that good butter that's in there, and that's the stuff for you hunters or trappers. That's the stuff that's going to give you the energy you need to run that trap line or to be able to get out in the woods. I'd like to thank the people of Vevor. They sponsored this video by giving us this awesome outside cooktop. I first saw this and I chose this last spring because I thought this is going to be great to do the finishing of my maple syrup on when we do the final boil. And we turned out to like it so much we've been using it all summer long for our cooking and stuff like this. And Vevor tools, they're really tough tools, but they're usually at half the price. So if you guys want to back them, this is something that I would stake my reputation on, and I'd say is really good. Check this thing out. This is so sturdy. This is just incredible. I feel blessed that we have it. If you guys are interested in getting something like this, I'll go ahead and I'll leave a link in the video description. I cook with a bunch of different things. We have a Coleman top, which is okay. That was the thing that we first started out with. And now that we found this Vevor one, I think this has quickly become my favorite. It's a little bit better built, and I think it can last a little bit longer. But take a look at that. That'll be mine on the right-hand side of the screen, and Margaret has the one on the left-hand side of the screen.
Oh, such a gentleman.
Yep, well, you can tell how each person likes theirs differently. But it looks kind of cool, and they're compact, and they are a bundle of energy.
You know what this stove would really be nice for is a fish fry. So, you have a fish fry and your house kind of smells stinky for so long.
Yeah.
This would be really, really nice.
It will.
To cook a bunch of fish.
And the good part about it too, Margaret, look at these walls.
Yeah.
That makes it so that when it's real windy outside, your flame doesn't blow out.
Nice.
It's made out of heavy iron. This is going to be perfect. I can see us right now taking a 5-gallon bucket of sap, put it on here, and boiling that down to our final gallon.
Or even canning.
Yeah, canning would be perfect too. I talked to Wiley about it. He has one of these, or something very similar, and he says for canning, he does all of his outside on the deck of his cabin. Keeps the heat out of the cabin.
That'd be great.
All right, you ready to eat?
Yeah.
All right, let's go inside. All right, you're going to give it the final taste of approval?
Yeah, perfect yolk. Thank you.
It's cooked all the way through?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
All right. What do you think?
It's so good.
If you are interested in making peace at home and making a great breakfast for your family, I'd highly recommend this. This is one of my favorite simple breakfast recipes. It took us all of maybe 5 minutes to cook this, and trust me, that little extra stuff with the added butter and everything, cardiologists might not like it, but it is to die for. You at least got to try this at home. And then the other trick too is the smaller the fry pan, the better. Back home I have a fry pan that's just big enough for a slice of bread, and that contains all that butter in one area so that you don't have to use a ton of butter, and it works out perfect. Cooks a little bit quicker too because it's a smaller pan. All right, we're gonna go get ready for the different events that we have today, and we're gonna take this as a day of just kind of what we do in the life at the cabin. This is not going to be a work video. But this part of our property, we kind of let go natural, and I don't want to really do too much clearing because this is the part of the property where, if you remember in past videos, we've had a whole bunch of lobster mushrooms come up in here, and I'm not that good at mushroom hunting yet, and when something presents itself, I usually like to take advantage of that and harvest it when I can. And so I just let this part of the property be the way it is. If you never had lobster mushrooms, they're bright orangish red, just like a lobster, and man, they are tasty. They taste just like the finest of seafood, and actually quite a few chefs actually use them when they make different types of lobster dishes, and you really can't tell the difference. All right, I'm not seeing any. Let's get down to that water. Look how peaceful it is. We've got one person out there on a surfboard with a paddle. Otherwise, it's pretty quiet. No bass in my crib. All right, let's see what this water's like. All right, you guys, here's your Carl's Off the Grid tip of the week. If your doctor says you're supposed to swim with a shirt on, which is kind of weird, and you get sick of it, you can always use it to keep horseflies off your head. And the chicks find it sexy too. Alright guys, so in the intro I showed you what I was doing to make sure that the wildlife around here was watered. I went ahead and put that little watering trough back in, cleaned it all out. You know, it started to stink from all the composting leaves that were in there, and you can see right there, or maybe you can't, there's my little buddy, the chipmunk. He just all comes and eats out of my hand. I put in this PVC pipe that you know, it's probably only about 5 feet tall, and I threw a Y in at the bottom down there, and I've been able to fill that up with corn, and I get all sorts of squirrels, chipmunks, flying squirrels, raccoon, believe it or not, coyote will eat out of there, fox will come out of there. I've had turkey come and eat out of there, skunks, and obviously the deer come in, but you got to be careful with that because you can't do that during hunting season. It's considered a fine here in Wisconsin. there's no baiting of deer allowed here. But one of the other things that I do to help improve my habitat here for the wildlife is I put out a mineral lick, which may not sound like a lot to a lot of you guys watching this, but you know, I watch tons of people make the same mistake. They'll go out to a spot and they just dump like a mineral lick out there and expect that the deer are going to come and eat it. Sometimes it happens. Most of the time the bear get it, and they'll just rip it apart and eat it in one sitting. But if you know how to properly install a mineral block, you'll keep these animals coming in year round. And I'm going to show you what I've done, and we'll talk about mineral blocks here for a second. You guys got to check this out. So this is my old area where I used to put a mineral block. You can see it's got standing water in there. The deer will come and they'll still drink out of it and use it. But about 2 months ago, I put a new mineral block here, and look how the deer have got this tore up. Now, the key to getting them to tear it up like this and to create huge holes like this where you have water is basically you have to know your soil composition. Almost this whole homestead that I have up here is sand. There's one spot where it's been kind of boggy and wet, and that's this area, and it holds water. And I noticed that I have got clay about maybe, I'd say it's a good 6 inches down. If you can find clay in your spot that you're hunting or that you want your wildlife or your animals to come to, do your mineral licks above the clay. The mineral will soak down into the clay, and the clay acts as like a sponge, and it absorbs the mineral, and the deer will come in, and you can see how they have that torn up. They'll just keep ripping it apart and eating it. So, you know, I usually freshen this up maybe once every 3 to 6 months, and I think, now I'm thinking about it, it's been longer than 3 months because it was before the snow flew is when I put that down there. So I'm going to go ahead and put some more mineral lick out, I think, the next time I'm up here at the cabin. But for today, it's turned into cloudiness, and we're going to be getting some rain here soon. We had a little bit of rain last night. I'm going to go ahead and do a little foraging and see if there's any food that we can find here in the forest. Nothing is a guarantee, but if you're out in the woods enough, you'll get familiar with what you have, and you'll know where to search for food. And there's some chanterelles that usually grow up in one key area. It's a little bit early in the season right now for me to be picking them in this particular area, but you never know when you have rain. Sometimes you get lucky. So I'm going to take a walk back there, and we'll see what's there. And it's a great way to relax and to you know, just be able to get out, have a little bit of exercise walking through the woods, and to be able to you know, get familiar with your environment that you're in. So all right, let's head out there and we'll see if we can find anything. So I noticed with the little bit of rain that we got last night, we do have some mushrooms coming up, and these I believe are not edible. And with wild mushrooms, you never want to take your chance and eat something without knowing 100% of what it is. Now, the way that I found these chanterelles is, you know, I'm new to mushroom hunting. I've only been doing it a couple years now, but I read a good way to get a good start on actually finding some of them is you have to know what type of trees and stuff they'll grow underneath. And then also, once you figure out the tree system, look for deer trails, because deer will eat the edible mushrooms like chanterelles. And as they forage, you know, obviously they'll crap and leave the spores and stuff in the woods behind them. And I think I might have found one right now. No, it's not. It's another one of those mushrooms. But I'm getting close to the area, and I'm following my local deer highway here, which unfortunately nowadays is only like 1 or 2 deer that use it. But we're gonna make it right back into where I normally see them. I'm gonna keep quiet in case there are some deer or anything in here that I can catch on film. And let's take a quick look. I don't know that we got enough rain last night to bring them up. Usually it takes a day or so, but yeah, we'll take a look, see what we can find. Hey you guys, check out what I just walked past. I think I'm just a little bit too early. There you can see, look how like orangish color. Ah, dang, this camera really isn't picking it up. These shrooms are. That's getting closer. I thought for sure when I walked up here that these were going to be chanterelles, but they're not. The veins are still too high, and boy, they're a real good look-alike. Usually where there's look-alikes, you got to keep your eyes open. You can see more around that'll actually be the real deal, but these are not, and the bugs have already got to them. So yeah, let's go see if we can find some oyster mushrooms. You know, it just rained out last night and it was just a little drizzle, so maybe we don't have enough moisture yet to have them pop out. But boy, that was a false alarm. Oh, there's a bunch more over there. I'll check those out too. But I got a little excited there. Once you get a taste of these mushrooms, they are fantastic. So, all right, I'm going to leave these be where they are, and maybe we'll start heading towards the oyster mushrooms, and we'll see if any of those are out. This is nuts. You can see the cabin right there, and look what I stumbled up on right before the cabin. These mushrooms are loaded with bugs. Oop. These mushrooms are loaded with bugs, and I'm not even going to try to attempt to harvest it. But these are oyster mushrooms. It's not a real good specimen to show you. Normally you can see the spout, you can see the stem growing right out of the tree, and it'll turn up on a 90, and that's where you're gonna identify what it is. This one here is like none that I've ever seen before. I believe it's an oyster. You can kind of see a stem right there that's kind of growing out the side, and then they curve up. But I'm not 100% on this one either, but that's what they typically look like. And that just happened last night. I was here yesterday cleaning up some of the treetops of the trees that were down right there, and I did a little walk up here because I saw this dry maple tree here, and I thought, oh, that'd be good firewood. So I'm going to come back and harvest the tree. Oh yeah, you can see some old ones from earlier in the year that were growing right here. Yeah, I believe those were oyster mushrooms. So it's a really tiny tree. I wasn't expecting to see any on that. But anywhere where you see these trees that are starting to decompose, that's where you're going to find your source of mushrooms. So we spent all that time walking around in the woods looking for mushrooms, and here I am on the side of my driveway, and look at these shrooms. Those are all oyster mushrooms, and we've got more down through there, and these are getting past their prime. But let's take a walk up here and I'll show you as we go up to the cabin. All these trees that I leave laying around in here, they're just loaded. Now these are already starting to turn a little dark, and we probably don't want to eat those, but you can see that tree is just loaded with them. And then when we look across the drive, there they are. Look on this one. There we are. So there's just an abundance of food here in the woods. You just got to know what to look for and where to look for it. There we go. I think we're going to have mushrooms on the menu tonight. All right, you guys, I hope this video didn't get too long-winded. You know, it's not too often that I can come up to the cabin and just kind of chill out. Arm is feeling much better, and I see why there's no reason why I can't get work in here again. Got all the feeling back in my hand and in my arm, and everything's healed up except for the scars. So life is good. We had a good weekend this weekend. You know, got a little bit of relaxation time in, did a little bit of swimming and foraging, and all that stuff is always good. You know, it keeps me sharp and keeps my skills growing and learning. And now we're going to finally get back to doing some work at the cabin. I'd like to start getting work done on that shower house. There was a little bit of a lull there. Believe it or not, the county came through, and they very seldom come through, but I got a concerned citizen that turned me in, and turned out to be that they were surprised. I had all the appropriate permits already pulled for the work that we're doing, and they finally, after the whole summer's gone by, gave me the go-ahead and continue the plans that I have for the cabin. And we're going to go ahead and get some progress going here again. Feels good to be back here. Thank you guys for putting up with this video and for putting up with me. I appreciate all the new subscribers and really appreciate the people that have been here long term. You guys are what keeps the channel going. We'll catch you next time on Carl's Off the Grid.